New European power in India, and that is the English power. So in this lesson, we are going to study about the advent of British in India, then the British East India Company, then the British in India, then Battle of Aswali, then British in Mughal Court, and Bombay in Dowry. This is something interesting. Then the British trade. So let's start with the advent of British in India. So before the beginning of the formal rule of British in India, there was a background of Indo-European economic relationship. What do you understand by that? So before the start of British rule in India, Europe and India were connected with a relationship, and that was the economic relationship, because Europe was always interested in trading with India because it was a profitable trade for them. That's why there was an economic relationship, a trade relationship between these two places, Europe and India. So the commercial contacts between India and Europe were very old via the land route, either through the Oxus Valley or Syria or Egypt. So these were the routes from where the trade was carried on by Europeans with India. But what happened? A new empire was established, and that empire is called as Ottoman Empire. And when this new Ottoman Empire was established, the Europeans lost this route of trade with India. So these places were no more controlled under the Europeans. So when these Europeans lost these routes of trade with India, they had to find a new alternative route. New route. So they had to find a new route, and so they decided to explore new possibilities to reach India. So they sent a expedition, and the first expedition was sent by the Portuguese. And this Portuguese traveler, we know, Vasco da Gama, he found out a new route through Cape of Good Hope. He went through the sea, then he circumnavigated the African continent and reached India at Calicut. And when this new route was found to India through sea, so there was a hope in the European society that yes, we can trade with India via this sea route, using this sea route. So the new sea route via the Cape of Good Hope was discovered by Vasco da Gama in 1498. And thereafter, many trading companies came to India and established their trading centers. And later on, these trading centers became centers of power in India. So the English East India Company, also known as East India Trading Company, and after the Treaty of Union, the British East India Company. So these are the name of same company, East India Company or East Trading Company or British East India Company. This company was formed by a group of merchants known as Merchant Adventurers in 1599. Okay, and the company was granted an English Royal Charter. What is this English Royal Charter? This is India. So it was given a formal permission by the English government to trade with India under the name Governor and Company of Merchants of London, trading into the East Indies, that is India. So under this name, it was given the license to trade with India by Elizabeth I. At that time, Elizabeth I was the queen on 31st December 1600. So the East India Company, it is the oldest among several similarly formed European East India companies, and the largest of which was the Dutch East India Company. So what happened? To trade with India, lot of European powers were interested. So at that time, the Dutch, then French, then Portuguese, then English. So these were the European powers which wanted to trade with India, because trade with India was always profitable. So to trade with India, this European powers established their own East India Company, East India Trading Companies, and British East India Trading Company was one of them. So what happened next? So in 1608, the company decided to open a factory at Surat. Now this factory is different from the factory which we see nowadays. So this factory was not a factory where manufacture used to happen. The factory was merely a trading depot. It was a depot, it was a store actually to store the goods which were imported or exported from India. So the name given to a trading depot. So factory was a trading depot. So in 1608, the English East India Company decided to establish a company at Surat. So remember this. Surat was the first place where they established their factory. So the English ambassador Captain Hawkins arrived at Jahangir's court to seek permission for trade with India. So to establish a trading depot at Surat, they need to have a permission from the ruler of India, and at that time the ruler of India was Jahangir. Mughal rule was going on. So Captain Hawkins, we have seen that Captain Hawkins visited Jahangir's court and he sought permission from Jahangir to trade in India, but initially it was turned down due to Portuguese intrigue. Why? Because Portuguese were already there in India and they were trading from India, and it was very profitable for them to trade with India, and they did not wanted a new competitor in India, the new European competitor in India. So the Portuguese wanted a monopoly. They wanted a monopoly in trade with India. That's why they used all their tricks and techniques to turn down this permission of Britishers to trade in India. So this convinced the English of the need to overcome Portuguese. So the Portuguese came to know that as long as Portuguese are trading in India and as long as the Portuguese have influence in the Mughal court, they won't be able to establish their trading centers in India. So this convinced the English to the need of to overcome the Portuguese influence at the Mughal court if they were to obtain any concessions from the imperial government. So here is the Captain Hawkins in the court of Jahangir. So what happened next? So remember this, Captain Hawkins in the court of Jahangir. This is very important, okay? Then the company achieved a major victory over the Portuguese in the Battle of Swally near Surat. So Battle of Swally was between Portuguese and English. Okay, Portuguese versus English. Now this was a question in our CDS exam or in our previous UPSC exam. A lot of times this question has been asked, between whom this Battle of Swally was fought. So the Battle of Swally was fought between English and Portuguese near Surat in 1612, where two English naval ships under Captain Burst defeated a Portuguese naval squadron. The whole naval squadron was defeated by mere two naval ships, two English naval ships. Okay. So these victories led the Mughals to hope that in view of their naval weakness, they could use the English to counter the Portuguese on sea. Why? Because Portuguese were very powerful power and they were very powerful in the sea, and a lot of times this Portuguese used to blackmail this Mughal emperor that if you want to trade into sea, you will have to give us permission to trade in India. And Mughal emperor also came to know that if we want to overpower this Portuguese in sea, we will have to take side of English, because English were the new power which was emerging in India, and English naval power was also very important. So moreover, the Indian merchants would certainly benefit by competition among their foreign buyers. So this was also one important thing which Mughal emperor considered, that After there is a new competitor, obviously there will be a good trade practice. So this was also one important thing why the Mughal emperor gave the permission to English to trade in India. So here is the image of Battle of Swally, where the the Portuguese squadron was defeated in the Battle of Swally by the two naval ships under the Captain Burst. Remember this. Captain Burst was the leader of this English naval ships. So the English were not satisfied with the concessions, and in 1615 their ambassador Sir Thomas Roe reached the Mughal. So anyway, the English got the permission to trade in India, but still they were not satisfied with the concessions. So again the new ambassador, that is Sir Thomas Roe, again visited India, again visited the Mughal court, and they also exerted pressure on the Mughal authorities by taking advantage of India's naval weakness and harassing Indian traders and ships from the Red Sea and to Mecca. So this was blackmailing which was done by the same thing which the Portuguese were doing initially. The English also started to do the same thing, because the Indian naval power was very weak and the European naval power was strong at that time. So the English started to take advantage of their naval power and started to harass Indian traders in the Red Sea, which were going towards Mecca. So Thomas Roe went to Mughal court to ask new concessions for trade. So Roe's success further angered the Portuguese, and a fierce naval battle between the two countries began in 1620, which ended in English victory. Now you try to understand, land is of Indians and two foreign powers, the English and Portuguese, are fighting for this land. And in this when Thomas Roe was able to get the concessions from Mughal court, and this time Portuguese got angry, and again a new battle was fought between these two powers, and in this battle English got the victory, and the hostilities between the two came to an end in 1630. So here's Thomas Roe in the Mughal court asking for new concessions in India to trade. So in 1662 the Portuguese gave the island of Bombay King Charles II. Okay, so in 1622 what happened? Portuguese gave the island of Bombay to King Charles II in a dowry. The King Charles II of England got the dowry of Bombay for marrying a Portuguese princess. So there was a marriage between the Portuguese princess and English prince, and this English prince got a dowry, and the dowry was island of Bombay. And this was very important, because of this island of Bombay the Britishers were able to expand their power in India, and eventually the Portuguese lost all their possessions in India except Goa, Daman and Diu. So the Portuguese were confined only up to Goa, Daman and Diu. The company created trading posts in Surat. So we have seen they wanted to establish a trading depot at Surat. So they were able to establish the trading port, and they established at Surat, where a factory was built in 1612. Then in Madras in 1639, Bombay 1668 and Calcutta 1690. Now try to remember this in chronological order, because this was a question in a previous year exam. First, Surat factory was built by Britishers, then Madras was built, Madras was the second, then Bombay was the third, and Calcutta was fourth. So remember this in chronological order where the factories were built. So in 1634 the Mughal emperor extended his hospitality to the English traders to the region of Bengal, and in 1717 completely waived custom duties for the trade. Now Britishers were able, the East India Company was able to get the concessions for trade, and in 1717 they were completely waived off from the custom duties for the trade. So here's the image of the marriage of King Charles II with the Portuguese princess, in which he got the Bombay as dowry. So the company's mainstay business were then in cotton, in silk, in indigo, and saltpeter, and tea. So these were the five items in which the East India Company, the English East India Company, was interested in: cotton, silk, indigo, saltpeter, and tea. So you should remember by then that these were the five things in which English East India Company was trading. This may be a question in our exam. So by a series of 5 acts around 1670, King Charles II provisioned it with the rights. Now, as company was expanding, the East India Company was expanding in India, and it was getting rights to trade, and it was able to establish a small center of power in India. The King Charles II, it gave the East India Company the right to autonomous territorial acquisitions. Okay, because East India Company was establishing center of powers, because it was not merely interested in trade. It saw that there is a vacuum of power in India, and it started to expand its power. So the King Charles II provided East India Company, initially a trading company, now it got the right to autonomous territorial acquisitions. Then it also got the right to mint money. So we see that we find the money of which was minted by East India Company. Then it also got the right to command fortresses and troops and form alliances in India. So they got this right also. Then to make war and peace, and to exercise both civil and criminal jurisdiction over the acquired territories or areas. So in this way, the East India Company which was initially a trading company, now got an opportunity to rule in India, and they started to expand in India because they saw that there is a vacuum of power in India, and they used this opportunity to expand, and this expansion led to new rights in India, and in this way the way was open to them for the new British rule in India. So that's all about the advent of English in India. So in our next lesson, we will study about the advent of French in India.